Hey everyone, welcome to TechCrunch Live, where we help founders build better venture-backed businesses. I'm Matt Burns. Well, a couple things off the top. First, Alex Ratner, the CEO of Snorkel AI, and our guest this week, he's a total pitch deck nerd. So I'm really excited to dive into this. Second, we're giving away free tickets to South by Southwest. Now, to get those, you have to be on Hopin, and the instructions are right there. If you win, our events team will email you. Lastly, and I'm really excited about this because I've been working hard on it, TechCrunch Live is going to do a special episode in Austin on April 6th. It's the same format, same type of guests, but just a whole lot more. We have the recent unicorn in the Zebra and their first seed stage investor. And then we have assembled a panel of early stage investors that are actively writing checks to explain to people what they're looking for and how to raise money in Austin. And once again, that is April 6th. Now we have a pitch off competition for that episode, and the winner will get exhibition space at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. So please apply for that. And that post should be right at the top of TechCrunch. So that brings us back to this episode. If you have a startup and you want to present in the pitch off, you have to be in Hopin to do that. And Jason will reach out to you and we'll get all the details and we'll get to you at the end of this episode. So with that, I think we should bring on our guests. So this week we had the CEO of Snorkel AI, Alex Ratner, and Greylock Partners, Saam Motamedi. Hey, thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, a little background. Alex is the co-founder and CEO of Snorkel AI, and the company was founded in 2019. And since then, just 2.5 years later, they've raised $135 million. So we're pretty excited to talk about that. And Saam is a partner at Greylock and focuses on seed stage and early stage companies building applied AI, cybersecurity, data and machine learning, and SaaS companies. So that's who's here. And let's get started, guys. So Alex, I just wanted to acknowledge from the start, Snorkel AI has raised a crap ton of money in a short amount of time.
Well, building the best AI platform in the world takes a little bit of money. I started back at the Stanford AI Lab where you paid people in free burritos and paper citations. Mm-hmm. Turns out things are a little bit more costly in the real world, as Saam has helped me to educate on. But we're mostly just excited for what we get to enable with that funding on the customer side, and excited to chat more about that as we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with your pitch deck, but set the scene for us. What pitch deck, or when did you use this, and what were you raising for at the time?
Let's see. I think we got to partner with Saam and Greylock for both our seed and Series A, and we've been working on Snorkel for a while. Back at the Stanford AI Lab, the core team spun out of there. We've been working about 4.5 years. So we had been staying in academia for quite a while, and then when it was time to spin out, things moved pretty rapidly, and so I think we used this deck when we were kind of talking through, I believe, for the Series A, and so we were already kind of working with Saam, and it'll sound cheesy to say it this way, but honestly, we were kind of talking through the deck also just as a kind of strategy prospectus and a chance to discuss what we would do ahead. Obviously, we were mutually evaluating each other for taking that next step around the Series A, but we were already partnered at that point. So maybe that is a little bit different than a standard kind of pitch deck from the cold. But
let's talk through that. Let's talk through that real quick. It's interesting to me because you guys worked out at Greylock's offices before you raised your seed from them. And then you talked through your Series A deck with them before you raised money from them as well, right?
Yeah, I forget. It was a rush. I had my first child and graduated all in the same time, so I'm a little blurry on timeline. But I think we hopped over to the and we're fortunate enough to get to incubate out of a room at the Greylock office. I think after we raised our seed, maybe we were there a day or two before the check cleared. I forget. But so we were there, and really humbled to get to work with Saam and others over at Greylock very closely, and we understood, of course, that come next round we wouldn't have perfectly aligned incentives, but no partner, no collaborator is ever going to have 100% aligned incentives, and that doesn't mean you can't start building a really strong collaborative partnership. And that was exactly what got us so excited heading into the Series A conversation. I don't know, Saam, if you want to chip in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm thinking back on that period pretty fondly, because I think, Alex, we got to loop almost daily when you guys were working out of the office. But yeah, we had the good privilege of getting to partner with you all on the seed. And I think for us, there's two reasons why we want to partner with entrepreneurs like Alex and Snorkel at the seed. One is we want to be there when the foundation is getting set, and we can talk a little bit about how we work together. But in those initial set of months, working side by side to help build out the initial team, identify the ideal customer profile, build the initial product spec. And that it gives us the ability to do it. And then the second is, really the Series A is like this critical decision entrepreneurs make, because you're adding someone and a firm to your board, and that's that's a relationship that gets built for the rest of the company's life. And so we actually think it's really helpful mutually, but certainly for the entrepreneur, to get a sense of what it's like to work with someone and a set of people in a firm before they make that decision, so they can make that decision with much more knowledge. And I think, and again, I don't have the dates exactly right, but I think in Snorkel's case, the seed round may have been done in the June 2019 timeframe, and the Series A done, later that year. And so we had the ability to work quite closely together before the Series A came together. At the same time, and just connecting this back to your point around pitch decks, Matt, we think it's like pitch decks serve two goals. One is they are an important asset for fundraising, but I would actually argue they're more important as an internal instrument, because it forces you as a CEO to zoom up and actually think about the business and the long-term strategy in a very concrete way. And so despite the fact that we both had interest in working together on the A, we thought, having the company build a pitch deck was actually really useful, both for fundraising, but also, and more importantly, for organizational and internal alignment and strategy.
And for alignment moving forward. I mean, Matt, you called me a pitch deck nerd at the beginning. Maybe we'll remove the prefix and just say nerd. This is something that especially with Snorkel, we'd worked on it, in the academic and open source realm for, I guess 4.5 years at that point. We had a lot to learn around the commercial go-to-market and broader kind of company building perspective, which is exactly what we were looking for in partnership with our first, major investor. That's the gaps we wanted to fill. But we had and we have a lot of passion about what we're actually trying to build and what the vision is, and we wanted to have a conversation both pre-showing the deck and then when showing the deck around alignment. And so I think, yes, it's about winning someone over, but especially with the kind of, there is capital out there, and you want to make sure that you're not just trying to seal the deal on something. You're actually trying to seal a deal in a vector that you're excited and passionate about and has that alignment, because
well, let's take a minute here and we'll bring it up. You're going to go through most of the pitch deck, and for those listening online, if you're in Hopin, we're going to share the deck so you can download it directly from there as well. Now, this is partly redacted. We don't need to know all the secrets, but the overall format and flow and content, it's all original. So Alex, why don't you start, and I'll interrupt when we need to pause.
Yeah, so I'll just do the kind of first intro block. We'll skip over the exec summary and just go to the next slide. So so we started with the market framing, and I'll say it in present tense as well, because this is still very much how we view the market, how we viewed the market over the last 5.5, 6 years of working on this direction, first as a project at Stanford, now as a company. Is if you look at, kind of squint and look very high level at what it takes to build an AI model that does something like classifies a contract or pulls something out of a PDF form, or detects a cyber attack or triages a cancer patient's health records. These are all use cases being served on our platform today. All of this comes down to what's called supervised learning, and you've got three basic ingredients. You have the machine learning models that actually, this is the fancy box that makes that prediction automatically. You have the infrastructure that trains and serves and supports this model. And then you have the data, and what's this, specifically called the training data this model learns from, right? If you want to do that, let's say, cancer prediction, you need lots of examples where a doctor has annotated it with the kind of correct answer for the model to learn from. So these first two categories, the models, the infrastructure, over the last 5+ years, we've seen this massive tectonic shift in the space where they've become both more powerful, but also much more commodity accessible, right? If you want to get the fanciest model out there today, it's a couple lines of Python code, thanks to many of our friends in the space, both in industry and the startup space and academia. The infrastructure is increasingly heading that way. And our big bet with the company and with the project even before it was AI development is going to shift from the models and the infrastructure being the thing you get stuck on to the data. Of course, all are important, but that we're going to be shifting towards this data-centric AI development workflow where the data was what you're going to be stuck on and where the innovation had to happen. If we can go next. And in particular, the experiences that we had had for years, and now, at this time, I guess, circa Series A, we're starting to have with real enterprises out in the wild, in a commercial capacity, not just the academic one, is that this data, this training data for AI, and in particular labeling and managing it, is a massive blocker. And in most domains, most industries, it's not as simple as just throwing people at it, right? This legacy approach, there have been decades of companies where it's business process outsourcing kind of play, where you send data out, some humans label it, send it back. It works for some of the well-publicized, kind of use cases that we hear about. Is this a car or a pedestrian or a stop sign? Is this a cat or a dog? Is it a positive or negative restaurant review? But most potential use cases of AI and ML are not that simple to label. You've got very private data. Think banking. We currently work with 2 of the top 3 US banks, government agencies, hospital systems, anything with user data, has to stay on-prem, requires highly trained subject matter experts to label it, and is changing all the time. We wrote about this in our paper with Google, pre-company, about how, throwing out hundreds of thousands of labels a week because conditions were changing. So in this case, you can't just solve it by throwing people at the problem. And this need to label the data becomes a huge blocker. Next. So one of the things that we were kind of highlighting here is that there's this incredible amount of effort, and you can measure it in dollars, that's been put down around building AI teams, around building the models, the infrastructure, and only that, and that's only growing. And a lot of it is all just blocked on waiting for some, line of business or subject matter expert partner at the bank or the government agency to go and label 10,000 data points so you can start training your model. And if we can unblock that, then would be a pretty incredible momentum to tap into. So next, I'll just do this last slide, and then maybe we can break. But the very simple kind of pivot point or paradigm shift, to use the noxious phrase, that we've been working on for years, even at the time of this pitch deck, was trying to raise the abstraction level of this labeling and management of this all-important data that fuels AI, from doing it by hand, click, click, click on one medical record or legal document or network signal at a time, to doing it with programs, and to making this data labeling and management look more like software development. And that was what Snorkel was and is all about. So let me pause there, but hopefully that gives a little bit of a premise.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask, how many times have you given that pitch?
Saam, you want to? I mean,
a lot,
I've been,
right?
Yeah, variants. I mean, it's so the one thing I'll say, I'll take the bait. And one reason
Thanks.
I was a pitch deck nerd even before I had ever given a real pitch deck, because I had it drilled into me even on the academic side that, especially in a busy space like AI, communication of what you're actually doing is everything. You could have the fanciest, highest performing method, but if you can't communicate how it maps to real problems, how it is contextualized within alternative solutions, and when and where you should use it, it means nothing, right? So I've given a lot of bad versions of this pitch, years of bad versions of this pitch, that my co-founder and former advisor Chris over at Stanford has worked on with me, and I don't know, it's got to be in the tens of thousands, given the
Sure.
couple.
So my question to Saam is what do you tell entrepreneurs that are not good storytellers? Because Alex is fantastic, but what if you're not Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone can learn to be an exceptional storyteller. And actually, even in watching, Alex has been a phenomenal storyteller from the first time I met him. And it was truly one of these situations where we were sure we wanted to be in business with him after the first meeting. But that said, I think his ability to tell this story has improved dramatically over the last 2 years. And like, one of the things I think is so important about the way he does it, And I was going to say, like, I think, Alex, you've probably given many versions of these stories in this story in an investing context, but also in a customer context. And I think that's one of the things that's so interesting, which is like the way he motivates the problem and market here. If we had 10 customers, 10 large enterprises who are trying to deploy AI, this exact set of slides would resonate. And he has this ability to start at a 30,000-foot view and talk about AI broadly and enterprise AI and what that's blocked on, and in this case, the data. But then he's able to drill down, and this was really important to us, like when we were making the seed investment, which is, okay, that's a really big surface area and vision to go after. Where am I going to start? Mm-hmm. And in this case, they had an open source project that had amazing usage and had been worked on for several years, so they had a heads up there. But being able to distill it into an insertion point around, we have a new paradigm shift and approach to data labeling that's programmatic and software based. And that's going to change how people think about training data management. And then over time, that's actually going to change how people think about the entire AI lifecycle. That's what was really compelling. And so, my advice to entrepreneurs who are trying to, especially early stage entrepreneurs who are trying to improve their ability to tell the story, is figuring out how to weave the needle through and balancing both like the 30,000-foot view. Here's why in the fullness of time, this can be a significant platform company, with here's what we're going to go do today that completely solves a customer pain and has value associated with it. And to be candid, like if you can just get that right, and then obviously explain why you're the right team to go build this company, like those are the two things we look for at seed and Series A. And then I think as the company progresses, and if Alex showed you a Series B or Series C deck, you'd see a ton of customer data, and almost customers are now telling that story versus Alex telling that story, which is even more powerful. But that arc kind of stays true throughout the company's journey.
Yeah, maybe just to chip in. I mean, I'm still practicing, still learning, right? So I appreciate the kind comments, but it's I still have a lot to learn and lots of improvement vectors, which is of course the exciting part about doing anything. But maybe three comments. One to Saam's point about this 30,000-foot view to details. I've gotten good advice before, actually in the context of academic talks, but I think it translates to avoid middle grounds, right? So I at least try to go very high level, kind of big vision, and then also switch to very low level, concrete, empirical, direct, right? I think a lot of people get lost in the middle ground. They don't want to be, too low level, right, but they also don't want to be too kind of high level and bombastic. Like you have to, I think barbell is a lot better. You have to sell people and connect with them at the high level, and then follow right up with the very much more modest, sober, empirical details. And that's how you can kind of get the best of both worlds. If you just do the bombastic one, well, then you're just selling hype and snake oil. And there's lots of that in, the market today, yes, especially AI. But, people are getting weary of that because they're getting burned by it. So if you just do that, but if you just do the low level details, you're not going to get someone excited and motivated enough to kind of go over that activation energy hump to actually, especially in the enterprise, do something with you, right? So it's got to be both together. And then the second thing I'd say is just, practice. It's such a basic thing to say, but I think that certainly got drilled into me. And in particular, the more that, at least I find it for myself, I'm a naturally long-winded person. If you couldn't tell already, the more I practice ahead of time, and I certainly didn't practice for this enough, so I apologize in advance. But the more you practice, the more you can make the core pitch succinct, and then have time and freedom to kind of be natural, especially when it comes to, say, talking to customers or investors, right? You don't want to just be reading from a script. You don't want to be rambling on. If you practice, you can make sure you hit all the core points and have free time left to kind of connect, reference back to something they said, et cetera. And the third thing, and this is the most important, is just surround yourself with people who will, watch you give a presentation and tear it to shreds. It's very natural to run from that kind of feedback because it hurts. It always hurts. It never won't hurt, right? But it's so rare to find people who really will listen to you give that boring pitch deck, like Saam and like others I've gotten to work with, again and again and again over the years, and keep taking the time and effort to give incisive, constructive, and and critical feedback.
Yeah. So this is where I'm going to throw a softball to Saam. So what does it mean to be an active VC?
That's a great question. We think about active partnership on several key dimensions. I think the first and most important is we want to be the entrepreneur's first call anytime they need something, and ideally when things are not going well. Like Alex and I often joke, there's lots of things in a company like Snorkel that are going well, but really my role is to be there as a support system when Alex needs help on something, whether it's on the hiring front, customer front, key strategy decision. Sure. So that's one piece. The second piece is recruiting. And the way I think about recruiting and our role in recruiting is our role is both to help attract, assess, and close talent, right? And as these companies get going and you take a business like Snorkel, and a company like this gets to product market fit, then the question becomes, can you go and recruit an exceptional go-to-market organization and leadership team to really scale the business? And I think Alex gets a 10 out of 10 for his ability to recruit, and in our partnership, we've been able to help surface people for him and help him close candidates who have the experience actually building these types of companies at the next levels of scales. So that's the second piece. The third piece is on the customer side. So even today, but certainly in the early days before Snorkel had its own go-to-market team in-house, and the go-to-market team was Alex, we were able to plug Alex into a number of customer conversations through the relationships that we build here at Greylock. And so that's kind of piece three. And then I'd say the last piece is navigating future fundraises. And so, you talked about, companies raised a significant amount of capital, but that capital raise is actually just reflective of the company's ambition and the scale of platform and customers we're serving, right? And so like our role, especially as an early stage investor, is we want to partner, we want to be deeply involved, we want to be the investor of record, but we also want to, at every round, go help someone like Alex attract the absolute best additional partners and capital needed. And if we can, help him do that, then we think that's an important piece of our role as well.
Everyone respects Greylock. It's a legendary firm, but not everybody has access to you. So what questions should founders ask venture capitalists in Raleigh-Durham and Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh? How can they find an active VC?
I think the most useful thing to do is to speak to entrepreneurs who you respect or who are in your network and ask them about the venture capitalists they work with, and concretely ask them the texture of what that work looks like, right? Like, for me, when I tell this to CEOs like Alex who are raising follow-on rounds, when you're referencing a venture capitalist, whether they're, at a firm like Greylock or at a firm that's more up and coming, you have to ask the CEOs they work with, hey, what has this person actually done to move the needle? They're super smart, they're super nice, et cetera, but like, where's actually the impact? And sometimes you'll get answers back like, hey, we would not have our VP of sales without this person, right? Like this person found them, or they helped close them, or we would not have gotten our first customer. Like that's tangible texture of impact that I think you have to look for, and you want to get that through the references. So I think that's piece one. And if you don't have that network of entrepreneurs, I actually find that entrepreneurs are one of the things I love about the technology ecosystem at large, wherever it is in the world, is it's exceptionally collaborative in my experience, and we're all paying it forward because others have done that for us. And so, finding entrepreneurs you admire, companies that are being built like Snorkel, and asking those CEOs, the VCs that they work with, and the specific individuals who have had an impact, I think that's the single best way to identify who can be an active partner for your company.
Yeah, let's go to Alex with this, right? So if you're an early stage founder right now, how would you find a venture capitalist?
Yeah, I think the one way to answer that maybe is to just go back to the list that Saam gave of ways that an active VC tries to be helpful. And again, you don't always need to be looking for active funding. You might say, I want someone to provide capital and not be too active, but that's not the approach we've generally taken. But it is one. But especially if you're early, you will want someone who's active and who you can really partner and collaborate with. You will need that, I think, unless you're a multi-repeat founder and you have a very clear path ahead. Anyway, I think thinking about those vectors that you most need help or complementing around, right? So for us, I can give an example. Broad-based enterprise introductions and exposure was important because we were going to go to existing data science teams. which largely are in the enterprise today, even as we move out to broader users. Sure. Recruiting in a very competitive market, I think, was something that, we could do, but doing it at scale. And also recruiting, in particular, recruiting in networks that we didn't have exposure to, like hiring a sales leader, right? Actually every single exec search has been in partnership with Saam and Greylock, and it's also been a kind of educational experience for me about like, what does this function do, and how do you meet them, in addition to working to assess and close them. So those were areas, and I'm listing a lot. I guess tech was a little bit less for us. Not to say that we have all the answers, but just we had spent a considerably much larger amount of time on. So I guess for us, tech and actually tech recruiting was not as much what we were looking for. The biggest gaps was enterprise and kind of go to market and just general company building assistance. Even though we have leaned on Greylock for everything in that list. So you can, I would say you can assess, and you should assess, potential investors that are in your network based on how they could be helpful. And again, maybe, I feel very fortunate and humbled to get to work with Greylock that has a lot of those kind of put together. But there are many folks, let's say your company is targeting industry X, right? Someone who, I don't know, is a total unknown investor, but has amazing networks from having worked in industry X. And could it, make that one introduction to that one key customer that becomes your first customer and becomes your reference customer? I mean, that could be worlds more important than the fanciest, flashiest, VC fund logo. So I think just really honing in on what do you need to get to the next level. Obviously, capital will probably be part of that, but there are many more important things. And where can you find that and piece it together? And there are lots of ways to do that very impactfully. And that should be the focus, not the logo. They will often coincide with a place like Greylock, but that's what I would say.
That's really good insight, and thanks for saying that. We have about 5 minutes left, and we kind of got away from the pitch deck, but I want to stay on this topic a little bit more. Saam was your seed stage lead, right? And Series A, he joined your board. Yes. How do you guys handle tension?
This might be our highest tension point. How do we handle it, Saam? I think I don't know. I think being, the base that's helped us is that we agree on a lot of things, but we also agree on the kind of meta point that, bringing up challenging topics and giving pushback is the valuable thing here, right? So, when I bring up something or Saam brings up something, I think it is taken in a good spirit of like, hey, this is us doing our jobs, not, being critical in a way that should be taken as negative. But Saam, I don't know what you would answer here, I'll think.
Yeah, so I think in a CEO, VC, or a CEO board member kind of pairing, the foundation you have to have in place is two things. Like, one is 100% alignment around the North Star business that we're trying to build. And the second is almost values alignment around how we want to build the company. And I think if those things are in place, then everything else, actually, there are different things you will have tension on, and there's lots of natural tension points. And I'll talk about kind of a couple that we've navigated, but like those are navigable. And actually the tension is good because you kind of debate perspectives, and I think it leads to better decision-making. So the way I look at kind of my role as a board member is I'm not here to make decisions. I'm here to be an input.
Yeah, and actually, Saam, just to quickly plus one on the point before, like, I mean, I think if you view it both with, board, CEO relationships, but also team member relationships, that your job is to set up productive tensions and dialogues sometimes, often, right? Then you're going to be in a good spot. Like I think many of the things that Saam, I think we would say, just kind of strategic points where we've had those debates, like, it's not like we were play acting it, but we were setting that up intentionally, like, should we spread broader across the stack or focus in on, the use cases where we have traction, things like that. Like, you want to have those debates. You want to have that tension. That's how you actually get good certainty around the conclusions. So you have it, and it is a tension, but it's not a personal or emotional tension. It's a productive kind of tension that's part of our job. I don't know. Sorry, Saam, I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, just to give two concrete examples, I can remember early on there was a discussion, like, one of the features and bugs of a company like Snorkel is there's significant customer demand from all different types of segments. And so there's a prioritization exercise around, like, which segments do we want to go after? There's large enterprise, small enterprise. You can segment by sector. There's, the government and federal. And Alex needed to make a prioritization decision. And my role in that was to bring some data from what related companies had done, the pros and cons. And we had a really robust conversation, and there were some things we disagreed on, a lot we agreed on. And then Alex went and made a decision around the first couple customer segments to prioritize. And we may not have fully agreed, but like he fully heard my perspective and the data I brought in from the other companies I worked with. He lives inside the organization, at the edges of the organization, has infinite more data and context than I do. And so he made the call and turned out to be the right call, as it often is when Alex makes the call. But that would be one example. Or like, another example, another shape of example would be you're recruiting an executive, and you can recruit people from different backgrounds. You can recruit someone who's seen the scale but hasn't seen the early days. You can recruit someone who's seen the early days but hasn't seen the scale. And when you're building these hyper-scaling organizations, you actually need a little bit of both. And so again, you can have differences in points of views in an abstract sense and around specific people. But in the end, like, Alex makes the call, but doesn't, I think he creates a productive relationship with me and with the board, because he takes our input really seriously and shows us that he's weighing it heavily. And most of the time we are actually really aligned on what the output ends up being. But in the cases where it's not, it was a really considered decision that was ultimately made by Alex, because he has the context that he has. And so it leads to like a healthy relationship with healthy and productive tension.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these are just areas where you're like, I was thrashing, or the team was thrashing internally. It's like, okay, let's play this out. Again, do we want, a lot of exec recruiting that we work on, right? Do we want those two kind of profiles of experience, are one relevant axis you often debate. Product development, right? Like I'm, we have a research team that keeps us connected with the cutting edge that we helped start in this area of programmatic and data centric AI development back at Stanford, now at UW, where I'm on faculty, and Brown and Wisconsin, other places. So there's always this tension of, okay, we want to build more, because often it's based on years of work we've done kind of prototyping the fundamentals, but also we want to stay really focused. And clearly I am on both sides of that balance, but often, we'll set up a productive debate of saying, hey, here's a new feature we want to build, and, we'll debate it. It's not because I am purely on that side and Saam's purely on that side. It's because I'm conflicted and I want to play out the debate to figure out, okay, how should we draw the line? And then we draw the line. I think that key point about using these interactions for feedback and guidance, actually the number one criticism I got from our most recent board meeting was that we should have left more time for feedback and discussion versus presentation, because our deck ran a little long. So again, like using these moments to just have that productive debate and discussion to help the decision that is the company's decision, but just working at honing it together.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end it too, right? Like you do have to leave when you're presenting your company, right? You do have to leave room for questions and stuff like that. So thank you, Alex. This was wonderful today. I love this discussion, and you guys are going to stick around and judge the feedback for these pitch off companies. So we have a couple pitch off companies coming up, and we did not get through the entire pitch deck, but that is available for download on Hopin as well right now. So throughout the last half an hour, we've been talking to people in Hopin and pulling them up to present their company. So we have 3 of them now. We're going to bring the first one up, and the rules are simple. You have 2 minutes to present your company, no deck, just a pitch. And then we have 4 minutes to give you feedback on the pitch. And we're not looking to evaluate the company per se, but really just the pitch itself. So the first one we're going to bring up from Cloud AI. That sounds pretty right in your lane there, Alex. Are we there? Cloud AI.
Hi.
Hi there. Can you pronounce your name for me?
Nazrul Islam. You can call me Naz.
Naz, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. You have 2 minutes to present your company, and you can start right now.
Thank you. Cloud adoption is everywhere. You can see that enterprises and startups, everybody now use cloud and don't necessarily set up their own data center. According to McKinsey, cloud represents a $1 trillion opportunity. So while cloud increased the pace of innovation for enterprises, it also brought in significant complexity. Companies such as Netflix, Atlassian, Spotify adopted cloud with microservices and deployed thousands of microservices. So the problem is when there is a failure in any of these microservices, pinpointing and finding out where the problem is, takes hours. The most recent example is Facebook being down for 6 hours. It took them a long time to figure out where the problem was. And you can see companies such as Facebook and Salesforce and other companies are recruiting thousands of SRE team members to keep the lights on. So it's a big problem, and those of us who work in the tech industry has kind of painfully dealing with this thing. So when I was finishing up my executive MBA from Michigan Ross, one of the idea was, what if we kind of look at this space from a continuous perspective? So similar to how CI/CD has solved the problem for continuous integration and delivery, what if we look at solution that will continuously monitor the problem and then identify the kind of the problem as it happens? So instead of waiting and kind of reacting to a production incident and trying to solve the problem with humans, we look at using AI and continuous kind of infrastructure, cloud native infrastructure to solve the problem. So that's what we have been doing. So for the last 1 year, we have put together a few set of services in the kind of the logging and metrics space, and we have validated our services with.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Naz. Great, that was fantastic. Thank you. So Saam, you were nodding along there the whole time. Let's start with you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Naz, that was great. Maybe some feedback and questions. I was nodding because I think the area you're working in is of high secular importance, and so I'm excited about what you're building. So a couple thoughts on just how to improve the pitch, and then maybe one question. So, one thing to keep in mind is, like, when you're pitching an investor, if the investor is deep in an area, there's some things the investor is going to take as a given. And so, you can cite those things, but you don't need to overly orient. And I would shift more of the time to, like, the specific piece of the problem you're focused on and then approach. Because I found myself like, yes, cloud is the future of how software is run. Resiliency of microservices within that context is of massive importance. And any customer I put you in front of cares about those things. And so really my mind immediately after like the first 5 seconds jumped to, okay, how are you segmenting this market? As you said, there's metrics logs, there's different subsets, and then what's really unique about your approach is kind of where I was focused versus needing to believe that the market is large, given what you're building here. I think if you're building in like some narrow vertical area, you might need to spend more time justifying the size and attractiveness of the market. So that's one thought. And then I think the second thought is, and this is really the question, is it'd be helpful to just understand at one level more detail kind of your approach. I think the characterizing it as a continuous approach, leveraging ML to identify issues from a resiliency perspective, like that makes sense at a high level. But I find myself wondering, like, where do you integrate? Like, what's the type of data that you actually train on? What are the types of issues you identify? If you run a POC for a customer, how do you show them value really quickly? Like, those are the types of questions going through my mind.
Oh.
Alex, feedback from you?
Yeah, I don't want to make this panel so boring that I'm always agreeing with Saam, but I think first of all, Naz, that was an awesome pitch, and it sounds I'm less deep in that specific area than Saam, but it sounds like a really exciting area from everything I know. Yeah, with plus one what Saam said about just the more you know about your audience's level, whether it's an investor or a customer, and can just if you're constrained to 2 minutes. Again, I didn't do this well with my pitch earlier, but because we had a little bit more time, but just skip the part that will be assumed and get into the kind of differentiators. And then we didn't get as much time to get into it, but I would agree with Saam. I mean, I'll play to my part as the AI nerd here, but if you buy the Snorkel pitch that data is everything in AI these days, and the rest of the stack is getting relatively more commoditized, what is your data source? Where are you getting this information that you're going to train your predictive models on to predict and advance these faults? Because that is probably what's going to be most highly influential on the efficacy of your platform from a technical perspective. And then I think the other thing I would just quickly say is that drawing the parallel of these like big cloud companies, probably these are not the most repeatable customers. Maybe they are, but that's selling to the Facebooks of the world is probably not the target. So just more explicitly mapping why that's relevant. Is it because this is a indicator of where you as
mid-sized enterprise are going to be if you want to get there? Is it showing how you couldn't get there unless you use your solution? So like, just, it might be fine to use them, but what are they trying to show you? Because otherwise someone might say, oh, well, this is a Facebook level problem. I don't know that I have it, right?
Yeah, that's great. Very quickly, can you respond?
Yeah, so in terms of the data labeling part, we are using models that are using unsupervised techniques. So we collect, let's say, a couple days data, and then we train a model, and then kind of detect the anomalies based on customer-specific data.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you for your time, and thanks for replying. I do appreciate it. It was great to have you on here.
Thanks,
you. Yeah, thank you so much
for the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And it's hard to do these pitches in 2 minutes, right? So we're going to bring up the next one. We're going to do it again. Rebecca with Perceive is going to come on, and it's challenging because they literally found out, I don't know, 20 minutes ago that they're going to present. So they come on here and they talk to us and they feel great, and then they go home. So Rebecca, are you there? Takes a second to load them into Zoom. Looks like you're muted and your camera's off.
I'll turn my camera on.
There we are. I can hear you now, Rebecca.
All right. Sorry about the video. There we go.
There we are. Hi there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So you have 2 minutes to present, and you can start now.
Awesome. I'm co-founder of Perceive. Perceive is a B2B2C software as a service platform for endurance sporting events worldwide, such as marathons, triathlons, cycling events. Even if you don't participate in endurance sports, I'm sure you're familiar with the mass crowds at events such as like Boston Marathon or Ironman championships. So on average, every athlete has 2 fans, and there are 113,000 races worldwide. So we've got 75 million core athletes and 150 million fans. And these people are dedicated to their sport. Despite this massive fan base, endurance sports has continually failed to engage their audience. You see every single race has got fans waiting by the sidelines, sometimes for hours, just to catch a couple glimpses of their athlete. So Perceive is here to solve that problem. The Perceive platform allows race organizers to easily build an app to provide the participants with relevant race day information. They can build a custom map of the course with POIs, reach participants through push notifications, and upload final results. Premium users can integrate with the race timing solution and provide official real-time results with a live leaderboard and a live visual of athletes as they move around the course. We have in-app GPS. We're integrated with Garmin Fitbit Polar. We've got an in-app social feed so that participants can socialize with each other, as well as sponsors can reach them. But most importantly, we're integrated with Race Result, is the 3rd largest timing solution in the world. So that gives us live official results. And not only that, but it's built in an internal distribution channel. They reach 10 million athletes per year that cross their timing mats. And we've got LOIs, Race Results eager to promote the platform, and we're raising seed for commercial launch.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Rebecca. Endurance races, I've never even been to one. I can run down the road, and that's about in my endurance. All right, Alex, let's start with you.
Oh, well, first of all, thanks so much for the pitch, and that's awesome. I'm working my way up. I'm at half marathon level right now, and I'm a big runner, so I totally get what you're talking about, and lots of both have been there, have been cheering on friends. It's a big event. And certainly I haven't always wanted to see my time live on in the internet infamy, but I've certainly struggled to kind of deal with those things when going to races and stuff. I think my main feedback would be, and mostly it's just, again, it's tough 2-minute pitch. What would I liked to hear? I I'd be very interested to hear what, experience deploying it with actual races and actual users. I think you had a great outline of some of the features and the functionalities of the technology, and not to undermine the difficulty of building all of that you listed, but I would imagine that to me, I would guess that the selection of which features you're building and the data on how much actual users and race organizers actually care about them is in some ways as much or more valuable than the listing of them themselves. And so my follow-up, I guess this is my question, but if we have time, is kind of just, but also for the pitches, how did you pick that set of features? What's your validation with real users? These are communities, and so they're not going to just adopt based on a feature list. It's also brand and connections in these very tight-knit communities and things like that. So I would have wanted, I guess in summary, would have been very curious to hear, A, how did you pick the features? What data are you developing based on? And number two, what is your connectivity? I guess you'd call it the marketing, but what's your connectivity in these very tight-knit communities to kind of get those key early adopters that you may have or maybe heading to get soon?
I think that's great. Saam, let's go to you.
Rebecca, thanks for the pitch. I thought that was awesome. And Alex is definitely the right demographic here. As a side note, I think for the first 2 years, a lot of our one-on-ones were phone calls while Alex was on a run. So I saw him smiling while you were talking. One of the things I really liked is when you first started, the immediate question going through my mind was, how big of an opportunity is this? But I actually thought you did a really nice job contextualizing the number of races, the number of racers in those races, the fan to athlete relationship, and then 75 million fans. And I was sitting there listening to you talk, it immediately registered to me that this is actually very large and likely under tapped. So I just want to say, I thought you did a really nice job of taking something that's not obvious, may not on first blush appear to be a really large opportunity for someone like me who has no business thinking about endurance sports, and making it clear how large the opportunity is. I think to add to Alex, I actually had one of my questions was related to the one Alex shared. The other thought going through my mind was more relating back to this B2B2C nature of the business, right? And so when I think about B2B2C, I think about the first insertion point being into enterprises and organizations. In this case, race organizers. And so the questions going through my mind were hey, what does the field of race organizers look like? Are there a couple really large ones that organize a lot of these races? Is there a long tail of small organizers? Who are you actually going to go focus on selling into first? Are they going to buy this as SaaS, or is most of the revenue going to be made because of the adjacent, vendors and promotions and sponsors and these types of things? Helping kind of contextualize that for me would be helpful, so I can understand kind of how the business is also going to get built out post your commercial launch. But overall, I thought it was a really nice job.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was great feedback too. The point about building out features based on data and then having the data available to show it is really critical.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
that's been feedback I've gotten a bunch. Is I'm so eager to list all the features but then I think you could use that time to talk about some of those other aspects. But it's awesome, and sign me up when you have a publicly available beta. I can't promise to be fast, but I will give it a try.
Awesome.
All right, Rebecca.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I've never ran a race my whole life.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. My children are fantastic athletes, and then there's me. So we have one more company, Terrascope. I'm gonna bring Terrascope on the old Zoom here. Terrascope.ai or .io rather. There we go.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Hi there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're the last one of the day, so you should know the rules by now. 2 minutes to pitch, 4 minutes for feedback, and you can start now.
Sure. So if you're like me, you probably try to find rural properties to buy last year or during the pandemic. But actually finding rural properties online is very, very challenging. The model Zillow has built, this kind of location-centric search algorithm, works great for urban properties, but rural property tends to have 3 to 4 times more variables to consider, because in addition to the structure itself, you also need to consider the land and the feature on the land. And it's not a small market. It's 20% of the US property is in the rural space, and it's growing because of the hybrid work and remote work options. People, for the first time in history, can choose where they work and where they live independently. And this is a huge tailwind. So at Terrascope, we're building the first AI real estate agent for finding rural properties online. We're talking about land, lake houses, vacation homes. And the way we do it is very different from Zillow. We show you one listing at a time and ask you for your feedback on the listing. You can like a listing or pass on a listing and offer us a reason. Like Alex mentioned, AI algorithms always get blocked because they don't have enough data. And the data we're getting is exactly what real estate agents are getting, is direct user feedback. And based on that feedback, we're able to build a preference function to understand the user's preference more deeply. So then we can discover patterns in their preference and overlay that to our database. So far, we have had 30,000 live users with 500,000 listings viewed. We've been featured in Mercury News, SiliconValley.com. We also filed a US patent. And this year is very exciting for us because we're growing our engineering team. We recently hired 2 full stack engineers, 1 PhD and professor at UC San Diego to lead our machine learning and computer vision effort. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot to unpack, but I actually have more time to
yeah. You ended too early.
I was good.
I got to confess, I didn't listen to much of your pitch. I went to your website, terrascope.io, because I'm looking for this property, and you're right, it is hard to do it on Zillow. This is wonderful. So Saam, let's start with you.
That was a great pitch, really well rehearsed, and I thought you got a lot of content in just under 2 minutes. So nicely done. And then, yeah, I think what you're doing is really interesting. Like, if I take a step back, you're writing a couple of really nice tailwinds, the most important of which being just the secular shift to how people want to live and work. It looks like Matt might be writing that way to some degree, but I think this would have been something perhaps challenging to get really good traction around 3 years ago, and today it's like actually top of mind for a lot of people. So I like that. The other thing I like about it is I also went to your website, and like it's immediately clear to me that like the metadata that you would care about around the particular property is so different in a rural context and in a quote unquote urban context that it makes sense to me why it's not natural for like a Zillow or a Redfin to also serve this segment really well. So yeah, I really like the area you're building in. I guess a couple of questions going through my mind. One was just better understanding even like what the real estate market in these geos looks like. Like, are you going to, you mentioned you're an AI-based realtor, so does that mean you're the full end-to-end realtor? Are you going to partner with realtors who have strong understanding in these domains? Or like in these geos, do all properties even go on market in these geos, or do some stay off market? And if so, like, does that actually increase the relative importance of having relationships with realtors on the ground? That was one question. I think, the second question, like, so I really like the user feedback and obviously using that to drive better relevance and results. I was curious where you're getting the metadata, like for hiking or fishing or these things from, and like what those data sources are and what else you can do to like enrich this. Because I think the other thing that's interesting about rural properties is like if I'm sitting in San Francisco looking at San Francisco homes, I can drive and go check things out in 10 minutes. And so like if something's completely off, it's no big deal. Whereas like, my guess would be if you're trying to go from place to place in different rural areas, it's actually a lot of cost, and you show up and you're like, oh, this doesn't have the view I wanted, or it doesn't have like the type of acreage I wanted. And so just how do you enrich that even further? And then the last piece was, it was great to hear you have 30,000 folks kind of engaging with the platform. I was just thinking through who else you could attach to who has bigger distribution that's already existing around this wave of like hybrid work and remote living, and kind of bootstrap off their existing. And there might be different kind of entities out there in the ecosystem you could attach to.
Yeah, sure. Should I address the question now? I can talk through.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. That'd be great.
Yeah. So the first, our business model right now, we work with the real estate agent, but the long-term strategy is really to replace them. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with them, and search is really the biggest piece, right? If you can find the perfect property, real estate agents basic process management. The online sign is there, process management tools are there. We can integrate those very quickly and keep the users in our ecosystem, but we're not there yet. And in terms of the metadata we use a huge amount of data. That's the second biggest secret sauce for us, is because we congregate a lot of public sources, but because users are giving us feedback, as you can imagine, it can be used to verify a lot of the data we receive from the real estate agents. And also one area we're exploring is using satellite images and property photos using computer vision to extract features out of the listing that real estate agents don't provide with you with. And the last question I forgot.
That's okay. Well, we have 30 seconds left. Alex, do you have any questions?
No, so I agree with Saam. It was an awesome pitch and just well paced in terms of delivery of content. I think one nit I'd say is, for those of us who whose wives will not let us leave Menlo Park ever. Maybe kidding, but like you led with a statement assuming that we knew or had been looking. I think it'd be easy to come up with a different entry point that would pull in people who haven't looked also. The other part is just thinking about how do you decouple the kind of two big bets you're taking or vectors. One is about a new type of property listing, and the other is about AI applied to property listing. And clearly there's an interplay between them, but I think isolating the kind of innovation vectors that you're taking and talking about how you'll safely decouple them, because what if the AI doesn't work, but the novel type of metadata you're collecting is really taking off, or just something to decouple them a little bit, and talk about which one also you kind of are investing more heavily in. Would you rather be the AI tool for selecting any kind of real estate and you're starting with rural, or you really want to focus on rural properties and the AI is just a necessary tool? Which is your kind of core bet? Because I think it's always good to have a core axis of innovation and differentiation and call it, and then the other ones are kind of secondary and maybe less novel actually to de-risk.
Yeah, if I could search for acreage with utility access, those two things together, that's killer for me. But Alex, if you want to convince your wife, I found on Terrascope 36 acres in Gordon, Texas for $522,000. I don't think there's more than 5 trees on this 36 acres, but it's all yours, so you can do whatever you want.
Well, now I could get the property, I could set up a race, and I can have protected microservices running from server farms all over the property. I think we're set after today's session.
That's right. Yes, it was very productive for everyone. All right, great. Well, to all of you, thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And to the audience, thank you as well. I hope you joined us and hop in and you got all the extras. Where we're going to go next, we have the big thing in Austin on April 6th. And then we also have TechCrunch early stage in April as well. And that is TechCrunch's first in-person event since COVID. So we hope you can join us. Well, to Alex and Saam, thank you again. And we hope to see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.